Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wave Channel 5, Greenville Public Access TV, as we continue the series here in our town in conjunction with Main Street Greenville. This will be the 24th show in the series. I'm Alex Warner, along with videographer Nick Schmidt. Today we've come up on West 4th Street, 144 West 4th Street to be sure, at Cratiques. And with us are Phil and Roberta Crawford, owners of Cratiques, and we're going to talk a little bit about what they do here. And folks, if you haven't been in here, you need to get up here because a little bit of everything here, right? Roberta, let's talk just a little bit. How long has Cratiques been open?
We have been open for 12 years. We opened on February 1st of 2003. Okay. And so we were on 12 going on 20.
And you've always been in this location?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
We originally came in here to look at this showcase, which is still sitting right here, and we ended up with the whole shop.
Wow. That's wife's shopping, right? Hey, Phil, let's talk a little bit. How did this all come about anyhow?
Well, several times in past years, we would set up at Annie Oakley Days and also the Power Show doing the flea market.
You mean the Farm Power?
Farm Power.
Okay.
And with the changes from where I was working at Rest Haven Nursing Home with new owners, and Robbie had worked for me at the nursing home. We knew we were going to have some changes, and you know, well, as Robbie said, we came in to look at a display, and voila, yeah. You know, we started a business, and then we decided, you know, to back off of, you know, doing the outside flea markets now.
Well, was this an antique shop to start with, or what was here that brought you in for this display case?
Well, actually, many, many years ago, Dr. Cox had his podiatry business here, and it had several businesses. There was a health food or vitamin store in here for a while. Ascus was located here.
That's right. Yeah.
And also there was a cell phone business here. And I think after the cell phone business left, the store was empty, and we knew Bob Claudy next door, who was the previous owner of this building. And we just kind of worked out a deal and thought, you know, instead of renting storage space, actually I think we had 2, maybe even 3, you know, rather than use that as rent and nobody sees our items, let's open up a business.
Yeah, yeah. So you then have kind of, because Phil was still involved in nursing home administration, so then how did you get involved in this, and what was the interest in this kind of shop? And then you say you've been doing going to flea markets and stuff for years. How did that all come about?
Well, way back when I was a little girl, we used to visit.
That is way back, right, Roberta? I've known Roberta for a long time.
Way back. My family, my mom and dad and I used to visit a cousin in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And this cousin had a little general post office and general store in this little crossroads community. And when we would go over there, I would play store. I loved playing store. And when I was also a child on North Broadway, I would set up a store in my bedroom and have people come and buy things. Instead of playing with dolls, I played store. So I guess I've just always enjoyed the, you know, the personal. Mainly, it's. I like the stuff, but I like the people too. You know, I like to get involved with.
Just the interaction with your customers.
With the customers, yes.
Now, do you really consider this an antique store? Or what would you classify Cratiques as?
Well, we really classify it as almost anything store. We do have a few antiques, probably more of a collectible store. Sometimes we'll have some deco items that you know, people like. we really kind of came up with a motto or a mission statement that, we wanted to offer things at a reasonable price, but then also we wanted to have things that people could take and use or add to a collection. Okay. So, we've just, just decided to have a wide range. And I think, too, rather than classifying us just as an antique store, people would come in thinking, oh, we're going to find everything that's, say, 50 years to 150 years or 200 years old. We might have a few of those things, but it just gives us an opportunity, to offer more of a variety and catch, people's interest, because you never know what somebody collects.
Right. One man's junk's another man's treasure. True. Okay. Roberta, how did the Cratiques, where'd that name come from? Did you guys collaborate on that, or was it just something that popped in your head overnight, or what happened?
Well, CRA is for Crawford, our last name.
Aren't you guys clever?
And Teaks is for antiques. So we just combined Crawford and antiques and made it Cratiques.
Okay.
And I guess since I used to be an English teacher, I like the word critique.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. Roberta taught for quite a few years, correct?
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about it. Store hours and then phone number.
Okay. Our store hours are Tuesday through Saturday. Tuesday through Friday, we're open 12 to 5. Saturday, 10 to 3. We're closed on Sunday and Monday. And phone number is 937-581-4545.
581
4545.
4545. Okay. Well, we're here with Phil and Roberta Crawford up here on West 4th Street with Cratiques, and we're going to come back in just a little bit. And we're going to kind of browse around the store and take a look at some of the things, I guess we call them things, that they have here, because the fine items that they have up here. And we'll be back in just a moment. Roberta, let's talk just a little bit about the store mascot we have down here and how this all came about.
Well, this is our penguin mascot. We also have a cat in the store, a live cat, which is in the back right now. Hopefully she won't come out and cause any problems. But she and the penguin get along quite well. And the penguin I won at a Bluebird Festival at the fairgrounds several years ago, and it was made out of flower pots, large flower pots. And it was made by the Arcanum Garden Club. And these used to sit on the corners of the street in Arcanum. And then they had one that at the Bluebird Festival, and I was fortunate enough to win it. So
I like the little hat you put on here on top too. Gives it just a little character there, huh?
Our grandchildren come in and decorate. Now they haven't come in lately, so when they come in, they'll probably be decorating for the 4th of July or Father's Day or something like that. I think she's still wearing the Mother's Day hat. She changes from whatever, just different holidays. He or she changes into different costumes according to the grandchildren.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is the famous display case that you talked about here. And it looks like you've got glassware and other things in here. Let me ask you this. Where do you get all your merchandise? I mean, do you guys go to flea markets or estate sales, auctions? How do you come up with all this stuff?
All that.
Really?
Yes, but mainly auctions. We both love auctions. And that's how we started getting so much merchandise that we needed a place to display it and sell it. And rather than the flea markets, this, to me, was more doable. So
well, I was just thinking you don't have to pack stuff up and unpack it back and forth and haul it around to different flea markets. You're here.
Right. That's what I don't care about with flea markets. And the weather, different kinds of work.
How wide an area do you cover when it comes to going to auctions? I mean, you go Columbus, Indianapolis, up north, down south, or where?
No, we stay within about a 30-mile range. We check Auction Zip on. Have you ever heard of Auction Zip? Auction Zip is a good place if you like auctions. You can check it. It's auctionzip.com, and we can check auctions there online and find out which ones we want to go to.
Okay.
And we like, of course, we like garage sales, flea markets, and all that sort of thing too. But auctions are our main source, I guess.
I see you bring in other things too, like humorous postcards, and you just bring in things that you think that your customers would like to look at and hopefully buy.
Yeah, you never know, but we buy things that we like, and maybe something that's a little bit outstanding or unusual, not necessarily expensive, just something fun and that people will enjoy looking at or purchasing.
We're going to swing over to her husband, Phil, here in just a second, take a look at some other things, and ask a few more questions about this particular type of collectible business, because it's just as amazing how much stuff you guys put in a small space up here.
Yes, we have it packed. It is packed, and we make use of as much space as we can.
You certainly have. We'll be back in just a minute here as you watch the Main Street series here in our town, Greenville, Ohio, here on the Wave Channel 5. Back here at Cratiques, Roberta was saying how you go to auctions. When you go to an auction, do you go with any specific merchandise in mind, or you just go kind of take a look and whatever catches your eye, or are you there for specific pieces?
Well, as Roberta had mentioned, we check out Auction Zip. Mm-hmm. And Auction Zip, most of the auctions in the area have pictures. And, there may be 20 pictures, there may be 200 pictures. Oh, okay. And we'll kind of look at those just to get a general idea of what they have. And if there is something, of some interest, we'll attend that auction and try to buy.
Okay. Do you have customers that say, hey, Phil, I'm really kind of looking for something along this line. I need this to complete a set, or I need that. Could you be on the lookout for me for that?
We have different ones. We have actually some individuals that are out of town. There's a couple girls that live in Washington, D.C. Oh. They have family here, and they like cameras or political items. Oh, okay. I have another individual that I met because I do set up in Urbana each month at a flea market.
So you do get out on the road yet then?
I do get out a little bit, and this individual collects postcards. So I keep my lookout for various postcards, and usually we'll meet up in Urbana, but he's been here at our store also to go through different things. And while he's looking at postcards, his wife's kind of roaming around the store, hopefully, liking something else. So,
now, do you take like a van and a trailer, or do you have like a U-Haul type truck, or to haul stuff and then to bring stuff back? What do you use?
Well, we have a van, and it's pretty well packed. But lately, I've been able to get enough things in my car, especially to take over to Urbana. Now, recently, actually last weekend, we were in Waynesville. So we set up at a street fair, and I've done that one for maybe 3 or 4 years. And, we did have the van packed up and, took various pieces of merchandise down there. Yeah. So, when we say we've given up the flea markets and that, well, not totally. Yeah. We do Waynesville. We also do the Gathering, and
out here at the Garth
Museum, and then Urbana. And I'm usually at Urbana each month, the first weekend.
Is Urbana held at the county fairgrounds?
Yeah, at the fairgrounds. Okay. Right.
Now, here's something that Roberta said we need to mention. This is something you kind of do when you get a chance. What in the world have you done here?
Well, this one's actually a blue ribbon winner at the fair.
Wow, what is it?
But, okay, what I've done is taken a chair that had the weaving in it. Especially if the weaving's bad or whatever, I just discard that. And got the bright idea several years ago to try to make a seat for one of the chairs, and I had a bunch of old ties. So this was an experiment.
I always wondered where old ties went. I didn't know if there was a graveyard in the sky for old ties. I got a million of them.
You can sit on them. You can sit on them. So, but I twist them around, knot them in the underneath, and in the crisscross, I take the wide part of the tie going one direction, and then the next tie goes the other direction.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's sturdy, isn't it?
And it's sturdy, yeah. And each chair usually takes between 40 and 50 ties.
Wow.
And I still have plenty of ties. So.
My gosh. Yeah, I kind of caught my eye, and Roberta said, well, make sure we take a look at that. Well, I tell you, we're going to come back with Roberta. We're going to talk about some other stuff here, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth between Phil and Roberta as we take a tour here at Cratiques up on West 4th Street. We'll be back in just a moment. That is. Roberta, we've moved a little bit further back in the store, and you said this is the kids section. So just some things you have here, because I'm still fascinated by old 45 records, folks. So if you still, and most people out there probably don't know what a 45 is anymore under the age of probably about 40, if that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's talk about your kids section.
Okay, well, it's for kids of all ages because we have the 45s, and I have a lot of people come back here and reminisce and remember the songs from the old days and so forth. And then we just put things back here that kids enjoy. There are some children's books. In here we have puzzles and songbooks.
Oh my gosh.
Just things associated with babies or...
Hey, how about Old Maid?
Yeah.
Old Maid card game
Old
there,
Maid.
with the storage tray.
Here, I'll get over here.
Okay.
So, we try to put pictures up that...
What is that? Was that a Cabbage Patch Kid? Is that
yeah,
what
that was like an old Cabbage Patch
little,
Kid.
yeah,
Plus, we have a
bank.
big bank down there, Cabbage Patch Kid
And
bank.
then I noticed this too. I knew, well, this is an M&M.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll kind of hold this up here so Nick can get that on. I know I've got several patients that collect anything M&M, it looks like. So I'm going to have to send them up here.
We have people come in that collect M&Ms, and they always look for M&M containers and items when they come in.
What is this basket for? I mean, folks, I could be here all day just holding up stuff, but what is this?
Well, these are Pogs, and
Hogs?
I don't know what year Pogs were. I'm thinking 80s, but they were like collector trading card. They're like little trading things for kids. They have funny things on them, or something they might see on TV or something like that, and they just collect them.
Yeah. When I saw that, some of them were upside down. It shows how old I am. I thought those were like the bottle tops off of milk bottles you used to get at school cafeterias, right? Way back when.
Yeah, well, I suppose they could be used for that, but yeah, they're called Pogs. P-O-G-S.
So we talked about these 45s. My gosh, where did you get all these at? Just all over the place.
And mainly auctions for when we get a number of things together. It's usually at an auction. I'll pick things up at garage sales here and there, but when we buy in bulk, it's usually at auction.
And I see we've got like dolls down here, and
Dolls and...
now a lot of your dolls. What's some of the older items you have up here at the store? I mean, are we talking back the 1920s, 30s, or just off the top of your head? What's some of the older things you have here?
Probably the oldest things would be our books and things like that, which is in the other room other than the children's books up here. But we do bring in items and we don't have this in the store right now, but we have an old Gestetner photo copier, not a copier exactly, but it's with photography, and it puts light into the, puts sheds light onto the picture. But I wish I had it here to show you, but it's just a large, looks like a door that you open and
something like maybe even around the turn of the century, early 1900s, or is it later than that?
I would say probably the 20s or 30s.
Okay. All right. You haven't put that out on display yet, huh?
No, we don't. I think it's on our traveling tour right now. We don't have to take too much out of the store because Phil has his own agenda for the flea markets. So I'll say once in a while, try this or try this, and so we'll take a few things out of the store.
So that's almost
we don't have to load and unload the store, which is nice.
That's almost like a separate inventory then that Phil maintains that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to come back and talk to Phil a little bit as we swing the camera around and take a look at some things that kind of caught our eyes over here, and we'll be back here on the Wave Channel 5. Roberta mentioned different books and city directories, and you've got a city directory here, and they don't make these anymore, folks, but this one's from 1969. And Phil, basically, what's in this thing?
Well, this actually lists locations where people lived, their phone numbers. I mean, it's probably the Privacy Act would really have problems with this. But if there's an individual that you just wanted to find out, where do they live? You could look this up, and
does it kind of go block to block? I mean, if we open something up here, let's like here's 17. Well, that's where are we at here?
These will actually list alphabetically. Okay. But then
then it goes by street address, right?
In the back, it goes by street. And
so, give us an example.
11th Street.
Okay.
And we'll just say there was a Riffle, a Bixler. Well, this was at the intersection of Riffle, 11th Street. There was a Bixler. There was a Bolin, a Fraser, Morgan. And then Anderson Avenue intersects with 11th Street, Shannon, Gerhardt, Aarons, Cook, and it just goes on.
Yeah, and all for the entire town of Greenville, folks. And I think I've seen these maybe up at the library, and possibly some older ones even out at the Garth Museum. But you've got them right here. This is
and what's interesting too is the advertising that's in the books. This one shows Hobart Manufacturing, and also Williamson Moving.
Yeah. Oliver Funeral Homes, Randall Insurance, and it goes, every page has a different advertisement around the outside of the page. Right. And this was a 1969 directory. So if you folks want to know who lived in your house, if you live in Greenville, you want to know who lived in your house in 1969? This is where you'd look. Now, that's the directory. Now, here's another book that came out of a set that you had here.
Right. And this is it's a set of Lowell Thomas books, and this one is India, Land of the Black Pagoda. And, Lowell Thomas wrote many, many books. He also endorsed a lot of books. Periodically, you'll find some games or whatever that may be involved with history, especially, the Eastern countries where there's a lot of wars right now. Yeah. But he knew a lot of individuals, in those areas. Oh, yeah. And, and
he wrote about it here, yeah. Yeah, a lot of you younger folks out there, you've heard of Lowell Thomas, but you don't realize how big a character he was on the world scene back in his day, right?
Correct, yeah.
Now also then, you've got all sorts of buttons. We're talking like political buttons and just... I'm seeing here George Wallace for president. I'm seeing McGovern Eagleton. Those, that's kind of interesting because if I remember, Thomas Eagleton was going to be the vice presidential candidate back in, I think it was 72. 72, and then they found out he had some mental issues in his past, and so he never made it on the ballot, but by God, you got the buttons here, don't you?
And we also have a George Wallace, Nixon, Agnew. We just try to get a variety of different ones. We also have, and if you remember Earl Pitts on WLW.
Gary Burbank playing Earl Pitts.
But here's a 1982 Pitts for president. But not to outdo Earl Pitts.
What else? I'm almost afraid to ask now.
Is Vanity from the Smurfs.
Vanity for president?
She's even running for president. So, but it's just, it's interesting to see, what different type of political items there are, and, and how funny some of the articles are. I've had buttons. I think we have sold this particular one, but it was Democratic Women for Nixon. So
I'm laughing at that. I'm not sure that doesn't quite fit.
So, but then we've also we've got a little showcase over here, a sorting box. But there's a couple, a $1 and a $2, but it's a Nixon, and it was during the time of high inflation, and basically wages were at a standstill, and also if you went to the grocery, if milk the month before was $1.29, they could not raise the price until this particular law or whatever was lifted.
Yeah, they had like price restrictions.
It was a freeze on everything.
Yeah, and you talk about other collectibles. I know people collect those, and then you've got all sorts of just regular buttons off of clothes, and then my gosh, matchbooks, I should say.
Right, and we have individuals that come in. They'll sort through. They may look for. Match covers from casinos in Las Vegas that they had visited one time, or restaurants, or just various things.
And then I see we got cookie cutters up here and coffee mugs, and you folks, if you haven't been here, you got to get up here. You just can't believe all the stuff they got. And then I thought this was interesting. You pointed it out. What in the world is this?
Well, these are actually shoes to correct an infant's club foot. And they would put these on at night, and you would keep their legs separated or their feet turned out, so that they could walk properly. And this may have come from Dr. Cox. I don't know, but here's an extra pair of shoes, and it's got the holes in the bottom, so you can tighten them right on the bar. So. Or you probably tighten them on a fence post or something too, and if a kid's bad.
Well, anyhow, just tons of stuff out here, and we're gonna go in the back room here and take a look at some other things here at Cratiques up on 144 West 4th Street. Lots more merchandise here in the back of the store here on 144 West 4th, and Roberta, my gosh. I'm repeating myself, but you can't believe what all they've got here. So make sure you get in here and take a look at this. You said these are old baseball uniforms from New Madison?
Yeah.
Little League uniforms, right? And these are the sponsors.
Hale Furniture, Cubs uniform.
I don't even remember. Was there had to have been a Hale Furniture in New Madison. I can't think when that would have been, a long time ago.
It was either. And Midland Hardware. A lot of people would remember that.
Yeah. Where do you pick? I mean, you just pick this up, going to the different auctions and so forth? Okay, I see we've got...
we have Coca-Cola and Hostess Wonder cupcakes and Pepsi. This is a Pepsi shirt back here. We have some naval, like a Navy uniform. We get uniforms and some old clothing. We don't have a lot of clothing, but we have some.
Yeah, and I see here also then you have some old silverware. It looks like it was a complete set. It looks like some kind of trays and stuff that goes with it. Or what?
Well, the silverware, people like to make creative people like to make yes, some people make jewelry. They make different things out of silverware. So
my mom had a man named Greg Hovey, I think his name, up north, took all this kind of stuff, and he made pheasants, raccoons, all sorts of animal sculptures out of it.
I think they had that out at Bears Mill.
And that might be, at Bears Mill, and that might be what this is right here.
And then people like to make
mobiles,
chimes or things like that.
So anyhow, so we have some of that, and then, like you said, you got all sorts of books back here. We've got old maps.
Books. We try to categorize them somewhat. We have cookbooks. We have history. We have sports, fiction, nonfiction, things for mechanics, and just general.
Yeah. I see. This is one, Phil, that Roberta and my wife qualify for since they married us. It says "women of great taste." So
Yes. Yes.
anyhow, so we've got all this displayed back here. Cigar boxes. Yeah. If you folks have any interest in any kind of collectibles at all, this is probably a good place to come up and stop because you're
And
bound
if
to find
we don't
something.
have it, we like to look for it for you if you don't need it right this minute.
How many times do you go out, like once a month and go to different auctions, or whenever something catches your eye, that's when you go out, or how do you work that? Because you have store hours on Saturday.
Right, and I'm usually at the store on Saturday, and Phil's usually at an auction of his choice. So he gets to purchase more things than I do, but we do go to a Thursday night auction here in town, and we enjoy that a lot. So that's on Front Street, Kenworthy's.
I'm unaware of that. What is this, an auction?
Yes, it's an auction every Thursday night. It's a long-standing tradition. It was Kenworthy's auction house next to the Front Street Inn. And Rissmillers own it now. Brian and Matt Rissmiller are brothers, and they run the auction house now, and they have a really good crowd. And just put a plug in for them. They sold a State Theater, well, that was in the Advocate, but sold a State Theater poster about a month or so ago for $6,500, which is kind of out of the ordinary, but it went to New Jersey, and it was a Humphrey Bogart first movie poster.
Yeah,
and
I think I remember seeing that in the paper.
It made the paper.
Yeah. Now, how do you advertise? You said you did some work on Facebook. Is that what you said?
Yeah, Phil does most of the advertising, like on Facebook and so forth. And then there's a antique guide out of Richmond or out of Indiana that we put an ad in once a year, and people find us from that. Just word of mouth and passing out our business cards and so forth.
Okay. We'll be back in just a minute and wrap up today's show here at Cratiques. And funny, to kind of finish things up as you watch the Main Street Greenville series here on the Wave Channel 5. Phil, you were saying that of all the thousands, and I mean thousands, literally thousands of items up here, that you own majority of them, correct?
That's correct. We own probably 99% of the items here. We do consign maybe a couple things, but it's basically with family members. And so what you see is what you get.
It's Crawford's stamp of approval.
It's got, well, hopefully it does, yes.
Okay. And then, Roberta, you were saying then there's certain days you have discounts on different things, or how does that play out?
Well, it started out as a 1 week sale, and we offered 50% off of items that were $25 or less. And people liked that so well that I couldn't stop having that sale. So that is now, at this location, an ongoing sale. So it's anything that's $25 or less is half price.
Oh, wow.
In the store.
In the store?
Or if we set things outside.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good deal. Is that any particular day?
No, it is whenever we're open.
Oh, wow. That's like a permanent sale then. Okay. Yeah. Do you notice a lot of familiar customers keep coming back? Do you have a lot of repeat customers, or a blend of new and old, or how?
Well, we do have a blend, and we have several repeats that come in. We have just some good friends that come in. It's too bad we don't have a potbelly stove, because sometimes it's just like we gather, we kind of gather around and solve all the problems of Greenville.
You need a pretty good sized stove in an area for that, don't you?
But then on the other hand, I would say probably 50%, if not more, of our customers are from out of town. Oh. And I mean, we've had individuals from Tennessee, Japan even, but you know, some of the tours, probably those individuals don't have that much time to really spend in the stores. But I remember one time there was a bus driver from Cleveland, and he happened to find our store. So you know, it's just a good mix. Last week we had an individual that was from Westchester, and he bought some things and kind of ran out of money, and he said, I'll be back because there's some other things that I want. And sure enough, let's say that was on a Friday. Tuesday, he was back and bought some more merchandise.
Right. And I see your sign out here. It says, "In God They Trust." Everybody else pays cash.
Right. You know, and that's one thing. You know, we take cash or checks. We do not take credit cards. Okay. But we kind of motion the people, hey, there's an ATM across the street, you know, and we've had people do that. You know, they've gone across the street, got their money from the ATM, and spent it here.
Can't beat that. Can't beat that. Once again, the store hours, Roberta?
We are open from 10 to, I'm sorry, on Saturday it's 10 to 3, and on Tuesday through Friday it is 12 to 5. Closed on Sunday and Monday.
Okay, and you're on Facebook, and then your phone number one more time, and that 581 number threw me off.
It's my cell phone. I don't have a landline here, so, and I do have that phone with me most of the time, so I can take calls if necessary outside of store hours, but it's 937-581-4545.
Okay. Well, this has certainly been an enjoyable visit up here with Phil and Roberta Crawford at Cratiques, 144 West 4th Street. And if you have any inclination whatsoever for collectibles or anything, just browse around. I'm sure that they have something that's going to catch your eye. I mean, it's caught my eye. I'm not really into this stuff, but I think I'll have to come back. So anyhow, on behalf of my videographer, Nick Schmidt, I'm Alex Warner. Thanks once again for watching the Main Street Greenville series here on Our Town on the Wave Channel 5, Greenville Public Access TV. We'll see you next time here as we continue our series. Good night, everybody.